Hello everyone, welcome. In this session, we will discuss and we will wrap up what we have learned till now. This course was all about test automation by using Cypress. I have told you how to code in Cypress. In introductory sessions, we have discussed why we need automation, why we need to automate, automation test parameter, testing coordinates, and so on. As you know, there are many reasons for automations. Manual testing takes too time. Manual testing it takes too much time because it is done by humans, and if there are a few resources and work is huge, especially if there are repetitive tasks, then it takes too much time. And secondly, if there is too much time, our QA resources are overburdened, then it is possibility that they will make mistakes. So our test automation reduces error prone testing tasks. And thirdly, it frees up time to do best work. When our resources are free, they they are given the chance for creative activities, they are given a chance to try up the new things, then they will give their best output. And automation is a safety net. When we do not have automation in our company, then our developers see QA as a safety net. If our automations are there, then they provide safety because they can catch things very quickly and early before our client finds. And it also provides feedback early and often, as they run on the same way which we have did coding, and they run often. Though in today's world we have sprints 2 to 4 weeks, and we need to check whether our code was correctly moved or not. If there is any issue, there are any conflicts, we can run smoke tests, regression tests, we can find the issues early. Test example that drive coding can do more. In we when we write that in we have test driven development, we write the test and we write the code to see to, to see that our test should be passed. So we write the test before writing the code. So this is a different approach. In this approach, our perspective should be that we are writing quality codes. So our perspective is shifted from simply writing a code towards writing the quality code. Tests are documentations, live documentations. The test provides live documentations. They It is difficult, it is hard to update the static documentation. We need to update the tests if there is any issue. So this gives the real picture of our application. Test provides return on investment. They provides best return over investment. I have discussed the reasons. There are some issues, drawbacks, obstacles which we look when we do our test automation work. First one is attitude. Why should we automate? Especially this is a question related to developers. Developers usually ask why we should automate UA level test. This is a responsibility of quality assurance personnel. So other one is hump of pain, because initially lot of effort, lot of learning is required. Especially our resources are not trained on test automation, we need trainings. So there is much more investment involved initial investment in terms of time, money, effort. Especially it is difficult to write the stable test cases, automated test cases, if the code is not stable. So if the code is in flux and code is changing rapidly, then we cannot write the tests, stable tests on it. So writing the stable tests, we need stable code. So Another one is legacy code. If we have legacy code, and it is difficult to automate because the legacy code is not written keeping in mind the testability, then it will be hard to write the tests. Another factor is fear. People fear because automation is not easy work. This is not sexy work to do it. People fear, especially if there is possibility that your resources are not capable or they have not coding skills, they cannot automate. So they fear doing this effort, and they will they will go to their old habit, their manual testing. Though if this is the obstacle, we need to overcome this. We can overcome by changing culture, by doing adopting scrum methodologies, by doing agile in team, so whole team working on a project can overcome these problems. And test automation effort is not only the responsibility of quality assurance personnel, it is responsibility of the whole team working on the project. So in the test pyramid, we have in the right hand side you can see automated unit test. Then after unit test we have acceptance test, integration test, API level tests, and then we move towards end-to-end tests and UI tests. If we automate most of our tests at unit level, then suppose we have automated 70% at unit level, we have only left with 20% at API level, integration level, then we have left 10% only for end-to-end testing or UI testing. If this approach is best approach, we should adopt this automation test pyramid. On the other hand, currently most of companies unfortunately are following inverted pyramid. In this way, they write few at unit level tests, and suppose they have write 10% at unit level tests and 20% at integration test, and they are now 70% required to write end-to-end test. So there will be huge work at the end, huge manual checking and huge test automation work is required. So this approach is unfortunately creates problem and creates delay, and project gets late, out of budget, out of time. So we should avoid this inverted test pyramid. So when we talk about testing quadrant, we divide in 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 is about unit tests, component tests. In this quadrant, we do automation, unit level automations. Usually developers does that because they write the code, they write the unit level test. This technology facing, this quadrant is technology facing quadrant. In quadrant 2, we have functional tests, story tests, prototypes, simulations. So in this quadrant, both manual and automation testing is used. So Cypress, we only deal in this quadrant. We only work on this quadrant by using Cypress UI level tests. These are in this we have business facing. These are business facing tests. And in quadrant 3, exploratory testing and user-based testing cannot be done by using automation, though these are done by manual. So in this quadrant we do manual testing. User acceptance testing, alpha and beta testing is done in this quadrant. This quadrant is basically business facing. And in 4th quadrant we do testing by using tools, and we do performance, load testing, security testing, and this is also technology facing quadrant. So this was little bit about testing quadrants. Now let's discuss about Cypress. In Cypress, I have shown you that this automation tool uses JavaScript and it is open source. Their website is cypress.io. Cypress have some feature. It provides time travel. It takes screenshot of the application as your test runs. It provides debuggability, readable errors, and stack traces. Provides atomic weights, automatically weights for 4 seconds. You can do custom weights by writing the code. It provides consistent results. So because it do not use Selenium or WebDriver, it is fast, consistent, and reliable. So it takes screenshot and video when our test is running. And cross browser testing, locally or remotely. In remotely we can use CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. And then we can do remote testing. In Cypress we can use end-to-end testing, integration testing, and unit level testing. So in Cypress project setup I have shown you all these steps in my tutorials. In step 1 you need to install node.js, and because we need JavaScript for coding. So in step 2 we need to install Visual Studio Code, and in step 3 we need to create a folder, and then for our Cypress project, then we need to open that in our Visual Studio Code, and we need to run the command which I've given here. In the last step we need to install the Cypress, and now in this way we can go through. When we talk about JavaScript, JavaScript completes its 9th year in row as the most commonly used programming language. For most developers, programming is web programming. Their first programming is JavaScript. And in Stack Overflow, in their survey, JavaScript is at top, and third one is Python. Python is most popular, as you can see here. You can see the image. JavaScript 64%, HTML CSS 56%, Python is 48.24%, and you can see. So JavaScript is as top. Node.js, we can install Node.js by using this website. For code editor we need to install Visual Studio Code, which can be downloaded. So in our first test I have shown you that how to write the first test. We need to create a file under Cypress integration folder, and the top we need to give the reference type is equal to Cypress, and we need to write the test. Then we can run by using nps Cypress open. Nps Cypress open will open the test runner, and we can run our test from there. And I have already shown you how we can use the cy.visit command, which visits the given URL, and how we can use the cy.get, which gets the element, and the type command when we need to type something in drop down or any control, then we need to do cy.type. This types anything in the command. Then we have discussed about variables. In variables we use the let, const, and var. We have discussed in detail when to use const, when to use let, and when to use var. Const is used when we do not want to change the value during our test. So most recommended is used to let, and var is also used for variable. As you can see, variables are just like boxes in which we can store our data. This data can be string, integers, and true and false, so on. Then we have discussed about dart should. Dart should command actually compares. For example, dart should not exist mean this element should not exist. If it exists, then our test will fail. Dart should be visible. This means this button or element should be visible. If this is not visible, then our test will fail. So dart should be not visible mean this element should not be visible. If this is visible, then our test will fail. Dart should contain some text. If we want to verify that our control or button text is sign in, then the dart should contain, we can give the sign in text, then it will compare that it is containing sign in or not. If it not, text is not sign in, then it will fail. Dart should have text, some text. If we need to verify that this text is present or not, then we can write the command dart should have text, some text. For example, there is types Google. If there is text is Google, then test will pass, otherwise it will fail. Dart should be enabled. If we want to see that our control is enabled or not, then we can write dart should be enabled. If control is disabled, then our test will fail, then our assert command will fail. Dart should be disabled. This means our control should be disabled. If we enable, then assert command will fail. We need to, sometimes we need to check the page or open contains this title, so we need to verify. For this, we can write the command cy.title dart should eq then title. For example, if I want to verify that I have visited google.com and Google page title is Google, then I want to verify that page title is Google, then I can write the command cy.title should equal then we can write the Google, then it will, assert command will verify that it is title is containing Google or not. If it not containing, then it will fail. We need to wait, we need to do custom waits, because by default it provides 4 seconds. Sometimes our application is slow, sometimes it takes too much time for drop down to load, so we need to add the custom wait. For this, we can use the command cy.wait, and we can give the value in millisecond. For example, if I want to wait for 5 seconds, then I can write cy.wait 5000, then it will wait 5 seconds, then next code will run. And here I want to tell you that npx Cypress run spec, and in this way we can run on terminal that specific spec file. If that specific JS file we run only. If we do not give this path, then all the test cases in the project will run. For example, if we internally we write npx Cypress run, then all test cases will run. If we want to run the selected test cases, then we can use npx Cypress run spec and given that test cases. If there are multiple, then we can use comma and then next path can be given. Then we have discussed how we can use the random number, because it is required in SSN field, priority fields and unique values. Whenever test runs, it requires unique value each time. So in this case, we need to use math.random, and in math.random you can get the value, then it will give the random value, then we can use in SSN priority field, and this way this is the most suitable way. You can I have shown you that object-oriented programming in Cypress is required. We can get the benefit of object-oriented programming. In the tutorial, I have shown you how we can create the class, we can add the functions, then we need to export that class so we can use it in our test case. So we have then when we need to use that class, we need to create a object for that class and call the functions. This was note, if our class is .js file, which is class, we cannot directly run it. We need to run the JS file which calls that class. So in data-driven testing, we have files, fixtures. So our tests requires test data. With test data can be provided from file from CSV file, from text file. So we can use the fixtures are JSON file. We can store the data, we can retrieve data from there. So I have shown you that we can write the cy.write file. This will write the file, and if we want to read from file, we can use the command cy.read file. This will read from file. Then we have discussed how we can use the fixture. Fixtures are used to store and manage test data. So in fixture folder, if you explore the project, you can see fixture folder are located in Cypress fixture, and by default these are there. But we can configure into another directory also. So test data is usually written inside the JSON file, which can be used throughout your test. So it is convenient. It provides reusability, because here we have common place. If anything changes, for example password changes, then we need to change on one place. We do not need to change it all, do not need to update or change all the test cases. So this was a little bit about fixture. We have also shown you Cypress dashboard, how we can run our tests and see results on dashboard. So dashboard service is not free. It is free only for 3 users and 500 tests per month. If then this free package. Cypress dashboard is optional web-based companion to Test Runner. It provides timely, simple and powerful insight on all your tests run at a glance. So Cypress provides automatic parallelization and load balancing. You can optimize CI and run significantly faster tests. So if in pricing, in cypress.io/pricing, you can see their pricing in more detail. Here I've shown the Cypress dashboard which I run. Here you can see Cypress dashboard looks like this, and you can configure the Cypress dashboard. For configuring, you requires these steps. First of all, you need to register with dashboard. So website is dashboard.cypress.io. You can get the ID and key, because project ID and key is very important for configuring. You will configure your project with Cypress. So you can need to enter the project ID in cypress.json file. Here you can see this is the format. So you need to run the test from terminal. npm cypress run --record --key, and key will be given in this way. So the next we have discussed about reports in Cypress. So Cypress supports reports, and reports can be generated HTML, XML files, and you can view HTML reports. So there are steps which I have shown you. You need to download the required npm packages. You need to run this command: npm installs Cypress Mocha some reporter, JUnit reporter, merger for merging the files. So multi reporter Mocha. I have shown you the reasons why we need these libraries, npm packages. So in steps you need to configure in cypress.json, and in step 2 we need to configure it. In step 3 we need to configure index.json file, and here you can see this code need to require. This code should be there. Add entry into support/index.json file. So in this 4th step we need to add entry to index.json file. Index.json file should import Cypress Mocha some reporter/register. In the 5th step we need to run tests. So Cypress npx cypress run, and specific file can be run. We can view HTML files in reports index.html. In our case we name it index.html. You can use XML files when you integrate with CI, continuous integration, continuous deployment, Jenkins, Azure DevOps, or any other tools. Thank you very much. This was all about what we have learned. At the end, I have given you two quizzes about Cypress. Please complete them and provide your feedback. Thank you very much. Bye.